This segment is entitled Prayers by Akura. So as I said, for those of you who did not come on time, this is the final episode in Vrindavan. Next week, we will enter Mathura, and we will have several classes in Mathura, and then begins the third section, which is the Dwaraka Leela. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. My dear Lord Krishna, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the supreme cause of all causes, and you are the original, inexhaustible personality, Narayana. From your navel, a lotus flower grows, and from that lotus, Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe, is born. And since Lord Brahma is the cause of this universe, you are the cause of all causes. Oh, my dear Lord, the elements of this cosmic manifestation, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, ego, and the total material energy, as well as nature, the marginal energy, the living entities, the mind, the senses, the sense objects, and the demigods who control the affairs of this material cosmos, are all produced from your body. My Lord, you are the supersoul of everything, but no one knows your transcendental form. For everyone in this material world is influenced by the modes of material nature. Why, even demigods like Lord Brahma, being covered by the influence of material nature, do not exactly know your transcendental existence beyond the cosmic manifestation of the three modes of material nature. Great sages and mystics worship you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the original cause of all living entities, all cosmic manifestations, and all demigods. They worship you as all-inclusive. Some of the learned Brahmanas also worship you. How? By observing Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. These Brahmanas offer different kinds of sacrifice in the names of different gods. And there are others also who are fond of worshiping transcendental knowledge. They are very peaceful, and after giving up all kinds of material activities, they engage in the sacrifice known as Jnana Yajna, which is the philosophical search for you. And there are devotees who are also known as Bhagavatas, who worship you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After being properly initiated in the method known as Pancharatra, these devotees decorate their bodies with tilak and engage in worshiping your different forms of Vishnu Murti. And yet, there are others also, known as Shaivites, followers of different acharyas, who worship you in the form of Lord Shiva. Prabhupada now comments at this point. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante sradayanvita tepi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidi purvakam. Krishna points out that the worship of demigods is also indirect worship of Him, the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, such worship is not orthodox, because The worshipful Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana or Krishna. Demigods, such as Brahma and Shiva, are incarnations of material qualities, which are also emanations from the body of Narayana. Actually, there was no one existing before the creation except Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is stated in the Vedas. The worship of a demigod is not on the same level as worship of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Now Akrura continues his prayers. Although the minds of those who are devotees of demigods are fixed in a particular demigod, because you are the supersoul of all living entities, including those demigods, worship of the demigods indirectly goes to you. Just as sometimes, after flowing down from the mountains during the rainy season, small rivers fail to reach the sea. Some rivers reach the sea, but some do not. So similarly, the worship of demigods may or may not reach you. There is no guarantee. Their success depends upon the strength of their worship. Prabhupada at this point comments, according to Vedic principles, when a worshipper worships a particular demigod, one also conducts some ritual for Narayana, known as Yajna Ishvara. For as it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Sattaya Sadaya Yuktas Tasya Radhanam Ihate Labate Cha Tata Kaman Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan. The fact is that the demigods cannot fulfill the desires of their worshippers independently without the sanction of Narayan or Krishna dwelling in the heart of the demigod. The exact words used in Bhagavad Gita are Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan, which mean the demigods can award some benediction only after being authorized by the Supreme Lord. When a demigod worshipper then comes to his or her senses, one can then reason as follows. The demigods can offer benedictions only after being empowered by the Supreme Lord. So why should I not worship the Supreme Lord directly? Therefore, such a worshipper of the demigods may eventually come to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. But others who take the demigods as all in all, or as independent gods, cannot reach the ultimate goal. Akrura now continues to pray. My dear Lord Krishna, the whole world is filled with the three modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. And everyone within this material world is covered by these modes, beginning from Lord Brahma down to the immovable plants and trees and insects. My dear Lord Krishna, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you because you are beyond the influence of the three modes. Except for you, everyone is being carried away by the waves of these modes. Oh, my dear Lord Krishna, fire is your mouth, the earth is your feet, the sun is your eye, sky is your navel, and the 10 directions are your ears. Space is your head, the demigods are your arms, the oceans and seas are your abdomen, and the winds and air are your strength and vitality. All the plants and herbs are the hairs on your body. The clouds are the hair on your head. Mountains are your bones and nails. Day and night is the blinking of your eyelids. The progenitor, Prajapati, is your genitals, and the rain is your semen. My dear Lord, all living entities, including different grades of demigods and different grades of overlords, kings, and other living entities, are resting in you as parts and parcels of one big unit. One cannot know you by experimental knowledge. One can simply understand your transcendental existence to be like the great ocean, in which different grades of living entities are included, or like the udumbara fruit, out of which small mosquitoes come forth. My dear Lord, whatever eternal forms and incarnations you accept when you appear in this world are only meant for relieving the living entities of their ignorance, illusion, and lamentation. All people, therefore, can appreciate the incarnations and pastimes of your Lordship, and they eternally glorify your activities. No one can estimate how many forms and incarnations you have, nor can anyone estimate the number of universes that are existing within you. O Krishna, let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto your form as Matsya, the fish incarnation, who appeared at the time of devastation, although your Lordship is the cause of all causes. My Lord, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Hayagriva incarnation, the horse-headed incarnation, who killed the two demons, Madhu and Kaitaba. My Lord, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appeared as the gigantic tortoise, Kurma, who held up the great mountain, Mandara, and who also appeared as Varaha in two colors, white and red, and you rescued the earth planet, which had fallen into the water of the Garbhodaka ocean, and you killed the demon Hiranyaksha. Oh, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appeared as Nrsingadev, just to deliver all kinds of devotees from the fearful condition of atheistic atrocities. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appeared as Vamanadev, and you covered the three worlds simply by extending your lotus feet, placing your third step on the head of Bali Maharaj. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appeared as the Lord of the Brigus, Parashuram, in order to kill all the infidel administrators of the world 21 times. And let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appeared as Lord Ramachandra, to kill the demons like Ravana. My Lord, you are worshipped by all devotees as the chief of the Raghu dynasty, Ramachandra. O my dear Lord, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appear as Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, collectively known as Chaturvyuha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appear as Lord Buddha, in order to bewilder and cheat the atheistic and demoniac. And let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who appear as Kulki to chastise the so-called royal order, which had become degraded due to the abominable condition of the Malechas, who are below the jurisdiction of Vedic regulative principles. My dear Lord Krishna, everyone within this material world is conditioned by your illusory material energy, and under the impression of false identification and false possession, everyone is transmigrating from one body to another on the path of fruitive activities and their concomitant reactions. My dear Lord, I myself am no exception among these conditioned souls, for I am falsely thinking myself happy in possessing my home, wife, children, state, property, and friends. In this way, I am acting as if in a dreamland, because none of these things are permanent. And I am a fool to be always absorbed in thoughts of such things, accepting them as permanent truths. Oh, my dear Lord Krishna, due to my false identification, I have accepted as permanent everything which is non-permanent, such as my material body, which is not at all spiritual, and which is the source of all kinds of miserable conditions. Being bewildered by such concepts of life, I am always absorbed in thoughts of duality, and I have forgotten you, who are the reservoir of all transcendental pleasure. Oh, my Lord, I am bereft of your transcendental association, being just like a foolish creature who leaves the water spot, which is covered by water-nourished vegetation, and instead goes in search of water in the desert. The conditioned souls want to quench their thirst in the desert, but they do not know where to find water. They give up the spot where there is actually a reservoir of water and run into the desert where there is no water. My dear Lord Krishna, I am completely incapable of controlling my own mind, which is now driven by the unbridled senses and is attracted by fruitive activities and their results. Therefore, my intelligence is very miserly. My dear Lord Krishna, your lotus feet cannot be appreciated by any person who is in the conditioned stage of material existence. But somehow or other, I have come near your lotus feet, and I thus consider this to be your causeless mercy upon me. You can act in any way because you are the supreme controller. I can thus understand that when a person becomes eligible to be delivered from the path of repeated birth and death, it is only by your causeless mercy that he or she comes nearer to your lotus feet and becomes attached to your devotional service. Akrura then fell down before the Lord and said, My dear Lord Krishna, your transcendental eternal form is full of knowledge, and simply by concentrating one's mind upon your form, one can understand in full knowledge everything that be, because you are the original source of all knowledge. You are the supreme powerful, possessing all kinds of energies. You are the Supreme Brahman, and you are the Supreme Person, the Supreme Controller, and you are the Master of the material energies. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are also known as Vasudeva, the resting place of all creation. You are the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you are also the Supreme Soul, residing in everyone's heart and giving directions how to act. So now, my Lord, I am completely surrendered unto you. So please give me your protection. So it is of note that Akrura is given as the example by Lord Chaitanya of that person who achieved complete perfection simply by offering prayers. Akrura was thinking and praying on the way to Vrindavan. We studied that chapter. After Akrura was sent by Kamsa, on the way to Vrindavan, Akrura was meditating and praying. Here we see Akrura again displaying his powerful prayers. So according to Lord Chaitanya, different devotees are given as examples of how to achieve perfection. I will give you these 9 personalities. So the first person is Parikshit Maharaj. He became perfect by the process of Shravanam, hearing. Simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj achieved perfection. The second item is Kirtanam, chanting or describing or glorifying. So, Shukadeva Goswami achieved his perfection by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. The third item, Smaranam, remembrance. And the person given as the emblem, Prahlad Maharaj. Because no matter how many times Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad, Prahlad simply remembered Krishna, and in each case he was saved. So simply by remembering Krishna, Prahlad was saved. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. The person who is believed to be perfect by serving the lotus feet of the Lord is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is eternally situated on the chest of the Lord, because Lakshmi is the duly wedded wife of Narayan. So any wife has the right to rest her head on the chest of her husband. But besides that, Lakshmi is always there on the chest of Narayan by what is called Shri Vatsa, some hairs, curling hairs, sometimes described as white, sometimes described as silver, and sometimes described as gold. I don't know why, but that has been my reading. So those hairs, known as Shri Vatsa, means the permanent resting place of Lakshmi on the chest of Narayan. But that's not how she became perfect. Her perfection is that although she has her rightful place on the chest of Narayan, she voluntarily goes to Narayan's feet and massages them. Now, why does she do that? Lakshmi does that because she sees that Narayan's devotees, they worship his lotus feet, and they taste an ecstasy which she herself does not relish. So she becomes greedy to relish the same nectar as simple devotees who worship the lotus feet of the Lord. Therefore, she voluntarily comes down and massages the lotus feet of the Lord. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. Archanam. Archanam means worship of the Murti, the deity. And the person given as the perfection is King Prithu. And King Prithu is described in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. So Vandanam means praying, and Akrura is the person given as the person who achieved perfection by offering prayers, which I already pointed out in the previous chapter and in today's chapter, Akrura's prayers. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Dasyam. So who is given as the person who achieved perfection by service? Hanuman. That's why Hanuman is also known as Bhaktaraj, the king of the bhaktas, the king of the devotees. So Hanuman, how did he achieve his perfection? Of course, he rendered so much service to Lord Ram. Hanuman was the one who was sent to discover where Sita was in Lanka. It was Hanuman who found Sita in the Ashoka Grove. And it was Hanuman who burnt Lanka down when they put a fire on his tail, and he escaped and went all through Lanka burning. And of course, after Ravana was killed, and after Sita was united with Ram, Ram wanted to offer Hanuman a benediction, anything he wanted, anything. And what did Hanuman say? No, I just want to be your humble servant. He didn't want any kingdom or fame. No, he simply wanted to continue serving Lord Ram. So he became perfect by dasyam. Then, next item, sakyam, friendship. Arjuna, his perfection is that he was the intimate friend of Krishna so much that on the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna became his Parthasarati, his chariot driver. That shows the greatness of Krishna, that he can even become the chauffeur or the Uber driver of his own devotee. Even though Krishna is the supreme God of all gods, he enjoys becoming the servant of his own devotee. And lastly, Atmanivedanam, full, complete surrender. And that we studied some months ago when we heard the story of Vamana and Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj offered Vamana 3 steps, but with 2 steps, Vamana Dev covered everything up and down in the universe, cracked a hole in the universe, and Ganga came down, bathing Vamana Dev's lotus feet. So the Lord told Bali, you offered me 3 steps, but with 2, I have taken everything. But Bali Maharaj, he was a pure devotee. Even though he's the king of the demons, he's still a pure devotee. He said, no, my Lord, I still have my head. You may place your 3rd step on my head. And Prabhupada comments in one of his songs, when Prabhupada sang, he sang several times and recorded the Dasha Avatar Stotram. So in one purport, when he sang that song, he said, by Bali Maharaj offering his head, he purchased the Lord. So Bali Maharaj is given as the example of perfection by completely surrendering. Then another devotee is given as perfection of somebody doing all the 9 items of devotional service. And that is Maharaj Ambarish, who even though he was taunted and was tried to be killed by Durvasa Muni, Ambarish Maharaj became perfect. And Durvasa Muni learned the hard way. When Durvasa Muni tried to kill Ambarish Maharaj, Narayan sent his Sudarshana Chakra, and that Sudarshan Chakra followed Durvasa Muni as he traveled trying to escape. The Sudarshan Chakra was getting closer and closer. And Durvasa went to Brahma. Brahma said, I can't save you. Durvasa went to his own origin, because Durvasa is an expansion of Lord Shiva. So he went, Lord, save me. Lord Shiva said, I cannot save you. Then Durvasa went to Narayan. Save me, save me. Your Sudarshan Chakra is burning me. It's about... Narayan said, no. You have offended my devotee Ambarish. Only if he forgives you will my Sudarshan Chakra be returned to me. I cannot save you. You have to go to Ambarish. So Durvasa flew to Ambarish Maharaj, who for 1 year stood without eating or sleeping, waiting for Durvasa Muni to return. And when Durvasa Muni came, he fell down total dandavat to Ambarish. And Ambarish told the Sudarshan Chakra, stop. And Durvasa was spared. And Durvasa realized the power and greatness of devotees. So these personalities are given as examples of persons who have achieved perfection by one of the 9 processes of devotional service. And today we heard the wonderful philosophical prayers of Akrura, who achieved perfection. We will end today's class by the spiritual insurance policy known as Nisringa prayers. Namaste Narasimhaya Praklad Aklad Dayane Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha Shila Tangana Kalaye Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsimha Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimha Bahir Nrsinga Hridaye Nrsimho Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadisha Hare Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadish Jai Jagadisha Hare Om Tat Sat.